Alafia, and thank you for clicking on this video today. My name is Ifa Sheye, and on this video, we'll be going over some important Ifa terminology to know. So this is going to be great if you're interested in starting your Ifa Orisha journey, or if you've already started and want to expand your vocabulary. So just a quick update about my personal journey. About 2 months ago, I received my first hand of Ifa, known as Ishefa, which will be a separate video on what that is and what that means for me. I'll talk a little bit about it in this video since that is one of the words that I have on my list, but I don't want to spend too much time talking about anything else, so let's just go ahead and get into it. This isn't going to be an all-inclusive list by any means, but this is going to be a great place to start. So our first word is Babalorisha. So this is a term that will have a slightly different definition from Ile to Ile, which I will define what an Ile is later in this video. But the definition of an Babalorisha is a devotee of the Ifa Orisha faith. Now, to give you an example, I did recently switch Iles, which I will make a separate video about godparents and all of that good stuff. But the initial Ile I was with in Babalorisha was defined as someone who had received their Ilekes, whereas in this new Ile that I've joined, an Babalorisha is defined as someone who has received their first hand of Ifa. But the general connotation is that it is someone who is devoted to studying and learning the faith, whether or not their intention or it's in their destiny to go all the way into initiation or to advance beyond receiving their Ilekes or receiving their first hand of Ifa. The broadest definition is someone who is devoted to learning, studying, and living the principles of the Ifa Orisha faith, religion, spiritual system, however you want to define it. So, our second term is Aboru, Aboye, Abo-shishe. It took me a minute to be able to get that pronunciation down, but this is going to be a greeting you'll hear Ifa priests use, which petitions that any prayers, offerings, and sacrifices be accepted. So those three are names of Orumila's wives who we must always pay our respects to. And beyond that, it's also just a homage to the divinity of women and the unique spiritual power that they're able to cultivate. Now, one of the things that I really love about Ifa is that there's just an emphasis on respect for women, and there's just great reverence for women and the role that they have in our communities. And you can't have creation without the feminine aspect. And I love that Ifa does a great job of acknowledging that. So our next word is going to be Alafia. So this is just a greeting that welcomes peace, and it's used by anyone. So this includes initiates and non-initiates. Side note that you may not care about, but when I was younger, I used to do African drum and dance. So I used to do capoeira, which is Afro-Brazilian style dance and martial arts. And I also used to sing these chants that used to go, Afanga, Alafia, Ashe, Ashe. So it's just interesting to be an adult now and to be in this tradition and certain things coming full circle from those experiences. But anywho, on to the next word. Our next word is awo. Awo. So this is again is a term that's the definition of it is going to vary from Ile to Ile, but the direct translation of awo means secret. And so in my current Ile, the way that it's defined is someone who is an initiated priest of Ifa. You might also hear the word omo-awo, which is the same thing, but it implies someone that's an initiated priest that is still studying. In the best way to kind of make a comparison is an omo-awo would be like someone that's graduated from medical school, but they're still in residency. So they have their credentials, they've got the initiation, but they're still doing some further study. Now, in contrast, my prior Ile, the way that awo was defined was once you received your first hand of Ifa, you were considered to be an awo. You were someone that was studying the secrets of Ifa. So with some of these terms, there are going to be agreed upon definitions, but depending on who you talk to and where you go, there may be slight variation in how people articulate the meaning of it or how it's applied. So our next word is going to be Babalawo, or we also have Baba for short. So a Babalawo is a male initiated priest of Ifa, And the short way to say that is Baba. Baba directly translates to father, or Baba me, my father. So next word we have is Babalorisha. So that is a male initiated priest of an orisha or the orisha. So something about Ifa to know is that you can be initiated into multiple things. So you can be a priest of the ancestors, for example. You can be an alagba or something. You can be, while also being a priest of the ancestors, you can be a priest of Shango, a priest of Ifa. There are lots of different priesthoods to initiate into within Ifa, and all of them are like their own religion within the broader religion. So, next term we have is Ebo. Ebo. So, this is a prescription to bring about favorable outcome and also keep you in alignment with the Ire or the good fortune of your destiny. So, when you go and get a divination done and you consult Ifa, you have an Odu that is pulled for you that is essentially revealing your current happenings at that moment, and to make sure that everything is auspicious for success and good fortune, you make an ebo, which is also translated as a sacrifice, and that can be a variety of different things, and I'll go deeper into that in a different video. So our next word is going to be egun. Egun. So these are your ancestors. It can also be used singularly as well. So you can say an egun to imply a singular ancestor. And now, not to be confused with our next word, which is egungun. Some people think that egun is the singular version of it, and then egungun is the plural version. That is incorrect. So egungun is actually an orisha of, egungun is actually an orisha of the ancestors, and it is an Egungun is in what we call an irumole, which I will explain what that is in a bit once we get there. So our next word is going to be ileke. Ileke. So this is a necklace that provides spiritual protection from negativity and death and things of that sort. You also have the ide, which is the same concept, but it will go on your wrist. I have a whole separate video about ilekes, what they mean, how you receive them, maintenance from them, etc., which I will link in this video as well. So our next word is going to be ewo. Ewo. So this is going to be taboos. Now, you're going to have taboos that apply to all practitioners of the faith. There are certain things you want to live by, but you're also going to have very specific ewo or taboos that are specific to you and your destiny, and making sure that you can be in alignment with all the goodness of it. And you really want to take those taboos seriously. And that's another video within itself. So our next word is going to be Erin Dilogun. Erin Dilogun. So this is going to be a divination method that is used by Olorishas. Now, an Orisha is just a gender neutral term for a priest of the Orisha. So you have the Babalorisha, which is the male initiate, and then you have the Iyalorisha, which is the female initiate. So Erin Dilogun, uses cowrie shells and 16 of them to divine with a given Orisha that priest is initiated into. I hope that makes sense. So our next word is going to be Eshintaye. I feel like I actually butchered the pronunciation of that, but I will post the words as well as the proper way to pronounce them, just in case I listen back to this and I'm like, damn, I didn't actually pronounce that my best. I am an English speaker, and this is a completely different language, Yoruba. So yeah. So an Eshintaye is essentially, this is what an Ishefa is, but done for a newborn child, and this is the most ideal because it's done within the first week of birth. So this is really the best time to get the information that an Ishefa will provide. But if you don't get your Eshintaye, then of course an Ishefa is going to be the next best thing. And with this, you're going to have the baby's destiny revealed, as well as how that child is to live in alignment with that destiny, and their taboos, their ewos, so things to avoid to make sure that they walk in alignment with what they came to this earth to do and be. So our next word is going to be iwe. So this is leaves, is the direct translation. So ewe is going to be herbs and plants that are used for medicines and baths, and ebo. So our next word is fun fun. So fun fun, the direct translation means white, but what it really implies is a cool or calm temperament. So for example, you have orisha fun fun, like Obatala. Obatala would be considered an orisha fun fun. So an orisha that has that cool, calm temperament. It can also be used in the context of, say, for example, an appeasement to your oh-ree, known as oh-ree fun fun. That's one type, and that's where you get white stuff put all over you, and it's a whole thing. So our next word is going to be iba. So iba is a homage done by way of doing prayers or chants, and these are specific prayers that you do when interacting with an orisha. Not sure how much I can say on that, so I'm going to just leave that there. Our next word is going to be EB. So this is one type of orientation of an Odu that is the opposite of E-ray. So this is a unfavorable orientation or negative orientation, however you want to look at it. You may also see the word ayewo, which means warning, or osogbo. They kind of all, well, it's layers to it. I don't want to say they all translate to the same thing, but it's a negative orientation or an unfavorable orientation for an Odu. So there are different categories of EB. So you have Iku, which is death, Arun, which is illness, whether that be physical or emotional. You have Ejo, which is court cases, Ofo, which is loss. You also have Ipanju, or Jo, which is finances. You have Egba, which is paralysis, Ijo, which is fights. And those are just some of the general ones to be mindful of. You also have, our next word is Ibori. So this is an appeasement to the oh-ree. So like I mentioned, oh-ree fun fun is one of those, for example. And Ibori also is the name of an oh-ree shrine. Our next word is going to be Ifa. Ifa. So Ifa is the system of allegory and the symbols that describe the human condition. So sometimes people think that Ifa and Orunmila are the same thing, but Ifa is the message, Orunmila is the messenger. Our next word is going to be Ikin. Ikin. So these are the sacred palm nuts that form one hand or a first hand or a set of Ifa. So there are 16 of them, and you would receive these post your Ishefa ceremony, and that's how you would divine and communicate with your personal Ifa, which when I say your personal Ifa, I just mean the shrine that you would receive. So our next word is going to be Ile. Ile. So this directly translates to house, and what it is going to be your spiritual temple. So your godparents as well as your god siblings all make up an Ile. So all of the people that you are working with closely as you learn and study and perform the tradition, that's your Ile, you know? All right, so our next word is going to be Ire. Ire. So this is the other orientation of an Odu that connotates blessings and favorable outcomes. So some different categories of it are Iku. Oh my, excuse me. Aiku. My bad. Aiku. So it's Ire Aiku. You definitely, so that other word IKU, you really don't want to say that too many times because it is a spirit and it's definitely not something you want to invite into your presence or into your space. So moving on, the other category is also known as Ajay, which means wealth. Now you have the word Ajay, and then you also have another meaning Ajay, which relates to the Iyami Ajay, and that is a whole other conversation. And there is spiritual power and the men and women who inherit that power. But there's actually a different intonation in how you pronounce those two words that will let whoever's listening know which one you're referring to. I just don't quite have that Yoruba accent down to pronounce it and demonstrate that properly. But anywho, so Ajay is wealth. You also have Omo, Ire Omo. Omo means children, literally children, but also creations. So say for example, you might have a certain ideal in your mind, or maybe there's a business that you want to start or that you've started, maybe it's a YouTube channel or whatever it is. If you ever hear ire or mo, that means that whatever it is, whatever that ideal is, that business, that venture, whatever you're trying to do or create, it is going to be successful, or Ifa sees it as something that will have a favorable outcome. You also have ire aya or oko, which is spouse, ire ile, ire shegun, which is victory over obstacles and enemies. So our next word is going to be ipeshe, which is an appeasement. Next word is going to be irumole. So irumole are primordial beings who were tasked with creating the universe. So irumole are a type of orisha, but not all orisha are irumole. Next word is going to be ishefa. Ishefa. So this is a ritual for receiving your one-handed Ifa. So this is going to give you insight into your destiny as well as taboos to abide by to best be in alignment with that destiny. The Ishefa is also a precursor to full initiation known as Itefa. And it really gets you in alignment for that. But some people will just receive their Ishefa with no intention to get fully initiated and just to get the insight to really live a better life for themselves, or it just may not be in their destiny to initiate into priesthood, but they still want that insight. So that is going to be the Shefa, and that's going to be a 3-day ceremony, but it does depend on the lineage and the Ile. Some people might do it all in one day. It just does all depend. And also with the Shefa, you know what? I'm just going to leave it there actually. So Itefa. So this is going to be a full initiation into Ifa priesthood, and this pretty much fully reveals your destiny. But you'll get plenty of insight on what your destiny is with receiving your Ishefa as well. So our next word is Iwa, which means character. You have Iwa Pele, which is gentle character, and Rere, which is good character. And this is a major focus on Ifa is character development, being consistent and having good character just to bring about favorable outcomes in your life. Character is very important. And if you don't know the difference between character and personality, character is basically how you are when no one is there to hold you accountable or see what you're doing behind closed doors. That is your character. Your character is really a culmination of your habits. So our next word is going to be Ianifa or Ia. So an Ianifa is a priestess, so a female priest of Ifa. Now Ia, which is the short word for it, literally translates to mother. You also might hear Iami, which directly translates to my mother, but it also serves that, depending on the context, that dual definition of the ancestral great mothers. But that is a very complex, layered topic in discussion in another video. So we have Iere, which is going to be songs. Our next word is Mojuba, which is, again, homage in the form of prayers and chants. So that's another type of homage. So our next word is going to be Obi, which is coconuts. Next word is Odu, which is the sacred sign of Ifa, or the sacred signs of Ifa. Next word is going to be Olodumare, which is the creator, and the best way to really describe that creator would just be the word God. Now, I know some people might not like using the word God as a comparison to Olodumare because God is a very generic term. It doesn't really give it a name, and I think when you say God, it kind of evokes more of a Judeo-Christian understanding of what God is. But one thing that I really do love about Ifa, and that you'll come to understand if you really get into it and study it, is that Ifa is very inclusive, and there's a recognition of the universality of all these concepts. So what we call Olodumare, you might call it God, you may call it Allah, or the Most High, the Supreme, whatever. There's a recognition that it's really all the same. It's one universe, it's one thing, and there's versatile ways of expressing and coming to understand it. Next word is going to be omiero. So these are spiritual baths that will be made up of herbs and things. So our next word is going to be opuele, which is a method of divination used by initiated Ifa priests. Next word is going to be Oh-ree, one of my favorite topics in Ifa, Oh-ree. So your Oh-ree is your oversoul, it's your higher self, and there's also different aspects of the Oh-ree. Like you have your Oh-ree Inu, for example, which connects to your intuition, your past lives. It's located at the solar plexus area. And the interesting thing about the Oh-ree is actually an orisha, hence the word orisha, Oh-ree is in the word. And there are Odu verses that speak to Oh-ree being the most powerful and supreme orisha. There's verses that speak to all of the different orishas battling Oh-ree and none of them being able to defeat Oh-ree. And what's unique about the Oh-ree is that you cannot receive any blessings or any favorable outcome without the permission of your Oh-ree. Your ancestors cannot bless you. The orisha cannot bless you without first getting through the Oh-ree. So the Oh-ree is so very important to appease, to get in alignment with. And I will make a separate video on how to appease and pray to your Oh-ree. But really, one of the best ways to just intuitively get in tune with your Oh-ree is just follow what you feel, take care of yourself, and just embody good character. Next word is going to be oriki. So this is a praise poem. Our next word is going to be orisha, which orisha are elevated divinities that assist with destiny. And some of them, again, are in that category of irumole. So our last word is going to be oshe. So Oshe is defined as a worship day. So with the traditional Yoruba calendar, it is a 4-day calendar. And so it's going to alternate between days that are, you will, for example, worship Obatala. Other days, for example, are for Shango and Oya, etc. And I'll go ahead and I'll put pictures of these things to make it easier to understand what I'm speaking about. So that is my last word on my list. Again, this is not an all-inclusive, encompassing video on every single term within Ifa, but these are definitely going to be the words to know. I hope this helps you. I hope you learned something. And as I say in all of my videos, I'm still very new to making these things. I'm still getting comfortable. I'm only going to get better. So subscribe. I have so much more coming. And if you watch this entire video, I do appreciate you. I thank you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and have a blessed one. Bye.